Hi, ArcFieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday morning, June the 12th. We have an extended period of unsettled weather coming to the Mid-Atlantic region, and really much of the eastern third of the nation here. In the Mid-Atlantic region, there will be a shower threat each and every day from tomorrow right into the middle part of next week. Certainly much of that time period will be rain-free, but again, the threat of showers each and every day. Thunderstorms will get into the mix, and certainly there is a chance for some heavy rain at times. A very active weather pattern continues across much of the eastern half of the nation over the next week or two. There will be a tropical system. It looks likely that a tropical system will form somewhere in the southwestern Gulf area in about a week or so, and likely head into the eastern part of Mexico. I want to kind of go through the 0Z run of the GFS, and we're starting off here with the 10-day forecast map of total precipitation. A few things to highlight here. First of all, as we've mentioned, a lot of the eastern half of the nation, even eastern 2/3 of the nation, an active weather pattern continues here into the middle part of June, into the second half of the month of June, with a lot of areas at 2+ inches of rain over the next 10 days. Anything seen on this particular map in purple represents 2 inches or more. Now notice also an area of heavy rainfall here. Again, this is over the next 10 days, and it looks like there will be a tropical system that forms somewhere in the southwestern Gulf area and likely heads into the eastern part of Mexico. Certainly southern Texas could get in on some of the heavy rain action here. Again, we're talking a week to 10 days away. This may not even include all that rainfall associated with that system. Again, 7 to 10 days away, maybe even a little bit beyond that. The other area of interest, hardly any precipitation at all across the southwestern states. Not too unusual. Desert area, a little bit early for the monsoonal rainfall that does impact the southwestern states, usually in the latter half of the summer season, July, August, even into September. But for the next 10 days, pretty dry from California to much of Utah down across Arizona. But the eastern 2/3 of the nation, quite an active weather pattern and a decent amount of rainfall over the next 10 days or so. Now, one of the ways we can tell it's an active weather pattern is to take a look at the vorticity field. These are areas in the middle, upper parts of the atmosphere where it tends to be kind of a rotation or a spin in the upper part of the atmosphere. And bottom line is it leads to these vorticity maxima lead to upward motion down at the surface level. So if you see a lot of short waves, as we call them, or vorticity maxima in the upper part of the atmosphere, that tends to suggest some clouds and precipitation with upward motion down at the lower levels. Here we are beginning the day here on Thursday, June the 12th, an area of unsettled weather conditions right in the heartland here, the Central Plains, the Southern Plains, and we'll move forward rather quickly here. Just watch all these short waves in the atmosphere that will impact the eastern 2/3 of the nation. Here is now the beginning stages of the upcoming weekend with a system there that slides to the east. Another one right on its heels by the time we get to the second half of the upcoming weekend. It happens to be Sunday, Father's Day. A lot of the vorticity is sliding from west to east into the Mid-Atlantic region. Here we are now on Monday. Still kind of unsettled, a little bit of a short wave right in this area right here as we begin the early part of next week. And again, this threat of showers really begins on Friday in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and much of the eastern states, and continues right into the middle part of next week. We'll go forward now in time. Here we are Tuesday all the way into Wednesday of next week. Still some vorticity hanging around in the Mid-Atlantic region. Look at out west here, another impressive shortwave sliding east across the Rocky Mountain states. If this, in fact, comes to fruition, that could result in some severe weather out across the middle part of the nation by around the middle part of next week. Now, whenever you have an active weather pattern, you likely have some cooler than normal air masses involved here this time of the year. And indeed, the eastern two-thirds of the nation, where there will be a lot of rainfall over the next couple of weeks, will in fact have some cooler than normal conditions here. For example, in the Mid-Atlantic region, this upcoming week, and the low-level flow will end up coming out of the northeast in places like New York City, Philadelphia, even down to D.C. An ocean flow this time of the year certainly brings in some cooler air, cooler than normal air into the Mid-Atlantic region. Certainly looks like for, let's say, Sunday, Monday timeframe. Out in the interior west, hot and dry weather pattern. We saw no rainfall in the southwestern states, and there will certainly be some hot weather as well above normal conditions right across the Rocky Mountain states. Let's move forward here, beginning the day on Thursday. And look at this, lots of purple on the map here for midday today. That is well below normal. You're talking at least maybe 10 degrees Celsius below normal for this time of the year. Not cold weather, but certainly colder than normal for the now getting into the middle part of the month of June. That again is for this afternoon. Notice that across the Rocky Mountains above normal. By the way, we're looking at 2-meter temperature anomalies. Normally I show 850 millibar temperature anomalies, but this is actually down at the surface level, the 2-meter temperature anomalies. Now, let's move forward here into the end of the week. Here we are midday on Friday. Lots of areas in that eastern two-thirds of the nation with below normal conditions, hot out across the Rocky Mountain states. We go into the upcoming weekend. Here we are on Saturday now. And again, I mentioned a low-level flow of air will develop out of the northeast and push into the northeastern quadrant of the nation. Cooler than normal conditions here. We may see high temperatures, for example, on Sunday, closer to 70 degrees than the normal in places like New York City, Philadelphia. The normal high right now is 80 degrees, maybe 82 degrees in Philly and New York City. Now let's move forward in time here. Again, an active weather pattern over the next 10 days or so in the eastern two-thirds of the nation. Here we go now into Sunday, Father's Day. A lot of purple showing up on the map. That's well below normal for this time of the year. Meanwhile, hot out there across the Rocky Mountain states. Excuse me, similar kind of pattern. Then we go into the early part of next weekend, much the same here. Mid-Atlantic, a lot of cooler than normal conditions. New England, cooler than normal conditions. And again, hot out across the Rocky Mountain states. And then we go into Tuesday of next week, same kind of a pattern here. And then finally into the Wednesday of next week. And notice here, we're starting to see that change in the temperature pattern here out across the Rocky Mountains. This is midday next Wednesday, and I pointed out that area of vorticity, impressive shortwave at this point in time, about the middle part of next week. That's associated with some cooler, a change in the weather pattern. And again, this could set up the possibility of some severe weather out across maybe the front range of the Rockies or the middle part of the nation by the middle of next week. A clash zone possibly developing here with a switch to cooler than normal out across the Rocky Mountain states, and maybe interacting with some warmer than normal conditions out ahead of it. Something we have several days to look forward to here. This is, again, the middle part of next week. Well, let's wrap up with the surface forecast maps. Again, we're using the 0Z run of the GFS. And starting right off the bat here, I wanted to point out there is a strong high pressure situated up here over the central part of Canada. You can kind of see the isobar pattern here. Look at this snow showing up here over the southeastern part of Canada. This, in fact, plays a key role in the upcoming unsettled and cooler than normal weather conditions coming to the Mid-Atlantic region for the weekend into the early part of next week. Basically, this high slides to the south and east and will help to cause that ocean flow of air, places like New York City, Philadelphia, even down to D.C. over the upcoming weekend into the early part of next week. Any northeast flow of air at the low levels of the atmosphere this time of the year will bring in cooler than normal conditions into the I-95 corridor. So let's move forward here with the surface maps here. And again, we pointed out that impressive shortwave beginning the day here right now across the central plains down to the southern plains, and there's some shower and thunderstorm activity associated with it. Some of this could end up producing strong to severe weather. Later on today, you get a little bit of that daytime mixing, daytime heating mixing in, and you can set up for some strong to severe weather later today in this part of the nation. Now, let's move forward here. Notice a little bit of a band here of showers forming tonight. That is associated with a cool frontal system that really dropping south from the north into the northern mid-Atlantic region tonight. There could be even some shower and thunderstorm activity upstate PA, northern New Jersey, New York City later today into tonight. Even the possibility of some strong to severe thunderstorms associated with that incoming frontal system. That front ends up stalling in the mid-Atlantic region on Friday, and several waves of low pressure will ride along that stalled out frontal boundary zone from later tomorrow all the way into the middle of next week. This is the evening forecast map. We move into Friday, and again, a key player here, high pressure over the Hudson Bay region of Canada as we end the work week here on Friday. Again, that'll help to provide some low-level cooling down along the northeast U.S. coastline, and you have a lot of spin in the atmosphere, a lot of upward motion, so you have cooler than normal conditions and wetter than normal conditions coming to much of the eastern third of the nation this weekend into the early part of next week. Here we go. Again, not all the time will be raining for sure. There will be much rain-free time, but the threat of showers will exist in the mid-Atlantic and much of the eastern part of the nation from tomorrow all the way into Wednesday of next week. Here is Saturday now. And notice a lot of green on the map. Again, we're looking at the eastern two-thirds of the nation for this wet area of wet time period out across the Rockies. Hot and dry here. This is the forecast map for Sunday, Father's Day. Now we move forward here. Again, same kind of pattern, just repeating itself. And there's, again, a stalled down frontal boundary zone right in this region all the way now into Monday afternoon, Monday evening of next weekend. Weak areas of low pressure will ride right along this stalled out frontal boundary zone for an extended period of time here. And then we move into Tuesday of next week and finally into the middle part of next week. This is next Wednesday morning. Remember, this is a time period where we talked about possibility of some severe weather out in this part of the nation. Notice here you have this hot, dry flow of air. At the same time, you start to get some cooler than normal air moving across the Rocky Mountains. This could set up some strong to severe thunderstorm activity. Again, we're talking about the middle part of next week out across the middle part of the nation. Here is next Wednesday night, and we go all the way into Thursday morning, a week from right now. Now, it is this time period where you could have a tropical system, the first one of the year, down across the southwestern Gulf. Again, if that indeed happens, I think odds favor it to occur here. Better than 50-50, let's say. It is likely to move northwest right into the eastern part of Mexico. Certainly can impact the southern part of Texas. We'll go out a little bit farther in time here, and that is exactly what the GFS model run is doing. It slides to the north and west, may become a named system, may in fact become a hurricane. We'll have to wait and see. This is all the way now out into Saturday, June 21st. Again, that obviously could produce a lot of rainfall up across the eastern part of Mexico, maybe even southern part of Texas. One last point I want to make here before we wrap up today. Could see the first 90-degree day in many spots of the Mid-Atlantic region. DC, for example, could hit 90 degrees for the first time this year. And in those spots that actually reached 90 degrees today, it will be later than normal. In fact, places like Reagan National Airport in Washington, DCA, Baltimore Washington International Airport, BWI, if in fact they hit 90 degrees today, it would be the latest first time for 90 degrees in those two areas since 2003. So we are getting a late start to the 90-degree weather in the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, today, Many spots in the Mid-Atlantic could reach 90 for the first time. Philly is going to be a close call, maybe 88, 89, maybe 90 degrees. D.C., Baltimore, pretty likely, I think those official airports reach 90 today for the first time this season. That's it for now. For ArcFieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.